Hi, I'm Brett Burney from Next Point, and we are talking with Tom O'Connor, the author of the book eDiscovery for the Rest of Us, which has recently been republished in partnership with Next Point. Tom, I know in the book we talk quite a bit about the eDiscovery reference model, or the EDRM. And certainly people can get the book, they can get a lot more detail in there. But what about one tip or one takeaway, Tom, that you would say to folks that are looking at the book, trying to get their heads wrapped around EDRM? What's a good takeaway for them to be on the lookout for?
Well, my number one tip to people in terms of working with eDiscovery is to have checklists. You should have a set of checklists because it's
Yeah.
easy to get lost in the weeds. I I have a good friend who just retired, but he was a wonderful litigator over in the state of Mississippi. Just a real down home boy. He used to have a in his summations to juries, he'd have a picture of a baseball in the middle of a bunch of grass, and he'd say, "Look, you don't want to be the lost ball in the tall weeds. Okay, let's break this down to how we're going to talk about it. So have
Right.
checklists that let you go through that. What I
That's
did was
great.
take the EDRM because it's often thought because it's a straightforward left to right sort
Right.
of timeline that that's the way it works. But really, I wrapped it into a circle, a wheel, if you will, because it's really iterative. You can collect
Yes.
and review and analyze, and then all of a sudden more documents show up. You got to go back and collect. You might cull things down. You got to go back and analyze. So I think of it more as a circular, repetitive process. And so in the book, I call this the checklist manifesto. And
Yeah.
the way to deal with the items inside of the EDRM process, but in a more iterative, repetitive process. But I highly recommend checklists in the book and what we'll have online. You'll be able to click on any of those or go to the chapter on any of those sections, and there'll be a bunch of items. That's a technical term in the
Yeah.
law. A bunch of. I've been.
I like it. Yeah. And you do such a great job, by the way, in the book. And I hope everybody has a chance to reach out and make sure that you get a copy of this because, it is thinking about that bigger picture, Tom, which I know you're describing, but then also being able to like drill down into like, okay, what do I do next? Like, what's the next step that we do? And I know that that's very important too from a practical perspective. And you
Yeah.
do such a great job of going through all of that in the book. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thanks for joining us, everyone. Be on the lookout for your opportunity to get a copy of Tom's book so that you can look at all of this information as well. The book is called eDiscovery for the Rest of Us. Thanks for joining us, Tom.